Discovering possibilities and potential with passion every day. This is a TPPN production. Welcome to the iPad Possibilities Podcast, episode number 79, PDF Annotations. This podcast is sponsored by Gadget Freeway. Visit gadgetfreeway.com to support this podcast and check out some of their amazing, innovative iPad gadgets, such as the iPad Pillow, the iPad Case Bag, as I like to call it, which turns your iPad into a very mobile, portable unit that's both a case and a bag, and their anti-glare protector, so you can actually use your iPad outside if you want to. So check out gadgetfreeway.com for more information. Well, welcome, and this is episode 79. We're getting close to episode 80 and even closer to episode 100 that is coming upon us. So what is planned for this episode? Well, this episode is entirely based on feedback I got from a listener. And the feedback I got was, love the show. I'm a scientist and thinking of getting an iPad to help me read scientific journals, articles in PDF format. Would you be able to review apps which allow me to mark up, highlight text, taking notes in the margin, underlying text, etc., while reading PDF documents? I know one app which allows us to do this, and it's called Annotate PDF. What other apps are there that are out there, How do they compare to each other? And if you could review the apps. So that was the feedback I got, and the show is entirely based on that. I'm going to be going over many different apps that do PDF annotations, some that do more than that, some that are just PDF annotators, and the good things, the bad things about the apps, and why you may need more than one of these. So the iPad has quite a few, less than I would have expected, but it's still got quite a few of these annotator applications and PDF manipulation applications available for it. So I think this is going to be one great reference show, at least for a little while, until we have some application updates for those looking to annotate PDFs on their iPad. So with that said, let's get on to the first app, and that is Annotate, as was hinted at by the email I got as far as one possibility for annotating your PDFs. So Annotate, and this one, I believe I actually paid for this one. It was a while back. I did pay for this one because this was in the earlier days of the iPad when I absolutely needed to annotate some PDFs on my iPad. And this was for school, and I wanted to see, hey, I've got these documents in PDF format. I want to be able to add some music notes to them. I want to be able to circle things. I want to do that. I want to do my entire homework project on my iPad. Is it possible at this current stage? Is it possible to do that? And I was, highly disappointed at this stage of the development of this application. I purchased it for, I believe, $5 or $10. It's currently $10, and it did not do what I needed to do at that time. So I was kind of going back to it. I was kind of wondering, hey, have they updated this? Have they enhanced this in a way that makes this usable, makes this compelling to purchase for that $10? And in the early editions of this, the biggest flaw of it was you couldn't export your annotations. They were stuck inside of this application, and you couldn't get them out. So you could do all these great things to the PDF, but they were stuck in there. They had no way of exporting that. And they've solved this problem, and they've solved this in a big way. So you're able to email these PDFs now with the annotations. You're able to share it through iTunes. And the coolest thing, the most fantastic thing that they've added recently is full Dropbox support. So what you're able to do now is open a file from Dropbox within this application, edit it, annotate it, do whatever you need to do to it, save it, and guess what? It's there on Dropbox. You're not dealing with multiple file versions. You have that one PDF that you're working with on your iPad. You save it or upload or whatever this application tells you to do. It's pretty simple, and it's there on Dropbox. You've got one file. You're not dealing with that multiple file problem that has so plagued file management on the iPad to date. So this is one way you can do that. So Annotate is the only solution I've found for dealing with a single file, for editing, for annotating a PDF, and having it just available on Dropbox. And that is the killer feature, I think, that single file. You're not dealing with multiple files here, and it works great with Dropbox. And as I've been doing these episodes, I'm thinking I need to do a full-out Dropbox integration application episode. All of the applications that integrate and support Dropbox in a really cool way. So that is coming, and this application got me thinking, there's a bunch of apps that do this. Let's showcase those. Let's have a full episode on apps that work well and are compelling to use with Dropbox. So Annotate works great with Dropbox, as I've been saying here. And what can you do? What can you annotate on these PDFs? Well, first off, you're able to add text notes. You are able to highlight. You're able to underline. You're able to freeform draw, and you're able to do bookmarks. Now, some other things you're able to do within this application are change the screen brightness so it's a more comfortable reading experience, similar to an iBooks. So you have that ability. You have an integrated browser to open up PDF links or whatever within this application. You're able to customize the interface to change the toolbars, to resize those, to move those around, and that's an awesome thing. And you're able to change how transparent the pen is that you use to annotate. And that's a very cool, very compelling feature of this application. So, this all sounds great. This all sounds fantastic. What's the downside? And there is a huge downside right now to this application. And that is, it feels like some sort of mixture between iPad and Windows tablet. It's got this weird interface, I've got to say. It doesn't feel like a native iPad app. It feels like some sort of merging of this old way of designing apps with Windows and an iPad app. So it feels really weird. It feels like that mixture between an iPad app and a Windows tablet. So it takes, I think, a good amount of learning to truly master this application. But with that said, there is a lot of power here, a lot of useful things, and they keep on updating it to add more and more useful things. As I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, that I've tried this in school. When I was in school, I tried this to do my homework on. And at that point, it wasn't up to what I needed to do as far as using the application. And now they've updated so you can use it. And that just tells me that they are working on this application. It's a work in progress. And they're adding some very compelling features each and every month. So I think over time, they may enhance this interface to become something much better than it is. So I think this is a very compelling application for annotating and dealing with that one file. And this is the only one that does that. So this is iAnnotate. It is $10. And if you're looking for I need to do some serious annotation on the iPad, this is a compelling app to do just that. Well, the next application is a $15 application called Papers. And Papers has been around on the Mac for some time and has been praised by many. Apple has their own awards, and they've awarded them with some nice design awards and things. And they've come out with a universal application for both the iPad and the iPhone. So all iOS devices to this point in time, until we have that Apple TV update. But anyways, it's a universal application for $15, and it does sync with the Mac client. So if you have a Mac and have Papers, you can work off of those same files and be in sync. So that's a very cool feature that they have. And you are now able to annotate. This is a brand new feature, and similar to where iAnnotate a few months ago, you were not able to export those annotations. That is the case currently with this application. So it's in its infancy. It's in its very beginnings of annotating and working with PDFs in that capacity. So the Annotations does is very limited. You're able to highlight, you're able to add text notes and do some things like that, but it's very limited. You're not even able to export those in any manner. So you can't sync them to Papers, you can't email them, you can't share them through iTunes. The annotations are stuck in the app. And that is right now the biggest limitation and downside of why I could not recommend this application at this time. Now, that's not to say, and they currently have announced that they're working on this. So who's to say that in a month or two, this will be one of the most compelling apps? But I think they don't have quite the advanced annotations as iAnnotate does. And they currently can't export as with those annotations. So those are really some downsides. Now, some advantages of this application. It's designed for researchers and academics. So it's got JSTOR. It's got all the big name databases that you have access to within this application. And that's going to be the most compelling thing for the academics, the researchers. But for anyone else, it's really not compelling right now, I don't think. And I think in future versions, I'd love to look back at this in 3 or 4 months and see where they've gone, see where they've taken it, because I think they have some big plans. But right now, it's just too bare bones. It's really only for the researchers who want to be able to access those databases on your iPad. And that may be the only scenario for it right now. I don't think it's a good annotator right now. I think you want, iAnnotate or some other app that I'll talk about a little bit later today to do that kind of work. So it's a pretty application. I think in time it will become one of the apps to have, but I think it's not quite there yet. So that's Papers. It's $15 on the App Store. It's a universal application. So with that said, let's get on to the next app, and that is an application called Docs. So the next app is called Docs, and it is a $5 application. And it's got some very cool things. In the beginning, they couldn't annotate PDFs, but they've added that. So what you're able to do with your PDFs on here, you're able to highlight, you're able to take notes within there, you're able to copy text out of it, you're able to bookmark, and you're able to open in. So say you're working with some PDFs here, you annotate it, you save it, you can then open it in like iAnnotate to do all your heavy duty annotating if you want to. So that's a cool feature that they've added in there. Now, some other cool things, not really PDF related, but a little bit. They've got a Find Nearby server. So if you're running a server, this application can talk to that and find files on there. They have Dropbox support, meaning you're able to open and save files, but you're able to save back, but actually, I don't think you're able to save back. So you're able to open them up, you're able to edit them, but you have to email them out or do some other way to export those out. So you're able to grab those files, and that works well. And currently, you're not able to save them back into Dropbox, or if you do, it'd be a different file version. So you're also able to work with Storage, their own kind of storage that they have in the cloud, iDisk, Google Docs, which is cool. So you can edit your Google Docs on here, which is a fantastic thing. Any web dev server, box.net, MyDisk, filesanywhere.com, an integrated browser to find different things. So you can go online and find whatever you need to, download it and work on it. And the coolest thing here is Mail. So it works with Google Mail, Hotmail, MobileMe, AOL, and Yahoo Mail, or any POP or IMAP server. So you're able to open up your mail client, you're able to add that to your list of sources. And you're then able to, look through all of your mail. You're able to download attachments, download just the plain text of the email, and manipulate that and work with those files in a way that's pretty compelling. So if you have, mail that you need to access its attachments, this is one fantastic way to do that. So the thing to take away from Docs is it's more than just a PDF reader and annotator. It's more than that. It works with pretty much any file the iPad supports. So text, I think it supports Word, and it supports those different formats. And if you go to Read Out Docs, their website, and you can find out all the formats it works with. So it's a beautiful interface, and it does very simple PDF editing, and you're able to get them out of there and email them or iTunes share them, and that's a fantastic thing. So it's more than just it's more than just a PDF editor, which is what you would want this application for. So that's Read Docs, and it's a beautiful application, and I think it'll become more and more powerful over time, as many of these applications will. Well, we move from the $15, $10, and $5 applications to a $1 application, and that is called Notify. And this app's very compelling. And for only $1, I have to say this one has got to be the biggest bang for the buck, or if not the biggest, but one of the biggest. This is a great use of your dollar, and it's got some very, very advanced features. And at the same time, it's very easy to use. And that's something that many applications don't include, the ease of use. So what is it? So Notify is a way to basically create PDFs on your iPad from scratch. So you're able to insert maps, you're able to annotate and draw over those maps so you can show someone and email those guys off directions and how to find your house or whatever. And that's a very cool thing. You could create flyers and things like that with insert maps, and you're able to insert images as well. You're able to annotate images and, put mustaches on people and whatever you need to do. So you're able to manipulate images with this application that are saved off as a PDF. And you're able to do the same thing with documents. So you can manipulate documents. So you're able to do that with PDFs as well. You're able to load up PDFs via the file sharing system. And a thing I noticed, you're actually able to, and this is their biggest thing, create from scratch a blank page, a PDF. So it'll export as a PDF. So you start from scratch, just a whiteboard, and you add, your text, your freeform shapes, your maps, whatever it may be. So you add all that, and you just start from scratch, creating whatever PDF you need. So this becomes kind of like the Adobe Acrobat for the iPad in a very, very basic form. I think they'll get more advanced as time goes by with forms and things like that. But right now, it's just a very basic, Adobe Acrobat for the iPad, being able to create things from scratch out of thin air. And that's what this is all about. So you're able to, add freeform, shapes and lines. You're able to add regular, just straight lines. You're able to fill the background with different things. You're able to erase if you need to, and you're able to export. You're able to mail the page as an image, a document, or notify documents for just loading back up in this application alone. And you're able to do the same thing with Dropbox. So you're able to Dropbox it as a PDF or Notify document. And Notify, I've just found it's a very cool way to spend your dollar, because you get the opportunity now to create PDFs pretty much from scratch. And so if you're looking for a way to do that, this is your app. If you're looking for a way to simply be reading and annotating your documents, this is not the app for you. So this is not the app for the listener that actually emailed me. This is probably not the app for you, but it's a cool app to have if you want to create PDFs from scratch. So that is what this application is all about, creating things from scratch, creating your flyer, creating whatever it may be that you need as a PDF. The next application is something that kind of took me by surprise, and I'll tell you what it is. It's called SmartNote. It's a $3 application, and it's a very compelling application. Something I wished I had back in school. It's something I really wish I had and wish I knew about. I don't think it was around back then. It's $3. It's called SmartNote, and I'd describe it as an easier to understand version of iAnnotate with less features, But the features that are there are easier to use, easier to understand, and you're able to do some cool things with PDF. For instance, you're able to add text, you're able to do freeform lines and shapes, you're able to highlight and add lines, just straight lines. The thing is, it doesn't do Dropbox saving as of yet. It evidently works with Dropbox, but I haven't found out how it works with Dropbox. So I think they're working on this Dropbox stuff, and it'll become more advanced over time. But right now, it's very bare bones as far as what works with Dropbox in this application. So I read on their site that they do have Dropbox integration, but I don't know how this works. I tried to figure it out through the application, but just couldn't see it. So what does it do? So it does more than just PDF. So you're able to record notes, record audio while taking notes in class. So the idea here is beyond just annotating PDFs, this is going to be your notebook, your go-to application for in class. You're in class, you want to take some notes. This is the application to launch. You don't want to launch Evernote, you want to launch this application. That's their selling point. So you're able to record audio while taking notes, which you can do in Evernote. It's got a built-in calculator, so if you're in math class, you have that calculator, you're able to just launch it up within this application. You're able to do handwriting and text on the same page. You're able to create many notebooks, so you're able to create a notebook for math, a notebook for music class, for science, whatever it may be. You can create all these different notebooks, and it auto-saves. You're able to insert photos, and the coolest thing, when you buy this application for $3, you save 15% off a Pogo stylus. And I'm looking it up right now. Pogo styluses run for $15. So 15% of $15 would be about, it's 2.25. So the application is, in essence, only 75 cents if you look at in that term. You save $2.25 for a $3 application. You got a 75-cent application. That's pretty amazing. So they've hooked up a deal with Pogo Stylus for that. You also have what I think is very cool. They've taken the interface and completely understood what needs to be done here. So they have a different interface, a completely different interface for landscape mode than they do portrait mode. And it's pretty amazing, I have to say. So in portrait mode, it's a very simple interface. You're not able to do, you're probably able to do as much. It's just done in a way that's out of the way for you. But in landscape mode, they completely revamped the interface. And it's wonderfully done. Dead simple. And the coolest thing I came across are widgets, right? They've got widgets. So they've got widgets for math, which enable you to just drag and drop different math graphs and different things you'd use in math class. So plus signs, minus signs, all the different things. You're able to just drag and drop those things. And a cool thing, they've got widgets for music. So I was able to drag and drop what do you call it? Key signatures. I was able to drag and drop flats and sharps and all sorts of things. And this would have been incredibly useful as a music student for just taking notes in class. This is something I struggled with and did by hand, and it didn't turn out as well as I know it could have with this application. So it also has, if you're in, say you are in a different kind of class, say you are in science class, it's got tools for that. It's got what I think is very cool, proofreading tools. So the insert comma, the period mark, it's got all the different markings you would use when you are annotating and correcting and doing all those different things that you do when you are editing your papers. So that's one of the very cool things that this application does. It also has an integrated browser, which might be important if you're in class and need to look up something really quickly. You are also able to email these out as PDFs or through the file sharing system. You're able to, this is where basically each class, has a notebook. So this application is designed for the students. So each class you have a different notebook for, and you're able to create notebooks from a PDF, an image, a file online, Smart Sync. They have an online service so you can work on your notebooks away from your iPad, and Dropbox. So this is their Dropbox integration. They're able to create new notebooks from Dropbox stuff. And it's similar to my memoir, and you're able to choose your cover, the type of paper, and I have to list off the type of papers here that you're able to use, because I think this is just simply incredible what different kind of papers you're able to have. So you're able to have a yellow legal pad, a white notebook paper, engineering paper, blank white paper, graphing paper, polar graph paper, 4x3 storyboard paper, 16x9 storyboard paper, blank music staff paper, which that is something that, oh my gosh, I was so impressed they had that in there, and so happy that they had that in there. So a music student could have that and have staff paper finally on their iPad. It also has axonomeric paper, guitar fret paper, basketball court, basketball half court, soccer field, hockey court, and lacrosse field. So you can get the idea here that this guy, whoever created this application, thought this through. Thought, hey, these people might need some different types of paper that that not everyone needs, but some people may need these. Some people may need those guitar frets. Some coaches may need those different fields that to draw out plays to coach with your iPad. So this guy's thought it through. This guy's understood how to create a compelling application for students. And this application will be probably featured in my student episode. I'm creating an episode entirely for how to use your iPad in school, both as a faculty member and a student. So that's going to be a very big episode coming up soon here that I think will be important as more and more students and teachers begin to use iPads in school. So kind of concluding this application, it's more than just a PDF annotator. It does all those things. You're able to work with PDFs. It does that great, and that's a great use case of it. But it's more than that. It's really an amazing app for students and note takers. So that's what this app's all about. And it's only 75 cents if you take them up on their offer for that discounted Pogo stylus. So with that said, it's a great application, and I would highly recommend it. It's $3. It's called SmartNote. The next application is called Smiley Docs. It's a $1 application, and it's quite a nice little application. It's very, very bare bones, and that's why I'm not going to be able to recommend this application at this time. I think in the future, it will be one of those applications that will become quite a nice iPad application for doing your PDF editing and stuff like that. And the reason it's included here is it's amazing. There's really not that much available as far as PDF editing on your iPad. The applications I'm talking about today are the only ones. So it's in the top 5 of editing, PDFs on your iPad. It's a very simple application. And the thing that struck me when I'm using it is they've really thought through even things like the settings part of this application. I was caught off guard by how beautiful, how well done just the simple settings part of this application is. And that's something that really, wow, they've really thought this through. So let's get onto the application on editing and things like that. So getting PDFs onto your iPad is going to be the biggest challenge with this application compared to others out there. And the way you do this is your iPad basically turns into an FTP server. So you just open up CyberDuck or one of your FTP clients on your Mac or Windows machine and just drag and drop them on there, and that's the way you do it. So there's no simple way of getting them on besides that. I think they're probably working on other ways, some simpler ways to do that. And I think it may even work through iTunes file sharing system as well. And the FTP worked fine for me. But it's just very simple right now, editing of your PDF. So you have highlighting and text annotations. So that's how you edit right now. So it's very simple. And I really do hope that you add more features in upcoming releases. but it's a very simple application. But one particular use case I see for this is someone that wants to organize PDFs on their iPad. So currently, it's designed so you can have a bunch of PDFs and have them all folder organized. So if you're someone that likes subfolders and organization in a big way, this may be something you might want to look at for that, because it's designed exactly for that kind of user. Someone that wants to organize by folder structure and not worry about syncing, not worry about storing it on the cloud and things like that. So it's very simple, and for $1, it's a pretty good application. So it's got some rough edges, such as just using FTP and kind of the limitations of what it can annotate. So very simple and worth a look. It's one of the few that actually does PDF annotations. It's as I mentioned earlier, it's very slim pickings as far as what's available to actually PDF annotate on your iPad. So that's Smiley Docs. So we come to now the final application of the night, of the day. Whenever you're listening to this, it's called PaperPad. It's $4, and what this application is, it's basically kind of similar to, I guess, what we talked about earlier, Notify, the $1 application that I was just blown away with. And this one is $4. You're able to annotate PDFs. You get those onto your iPad through iTunes file sharing, which I hope they add other means of doing this. You're able to email those PDFs off, and you're able to basically work with 5 different colors: black, blue, red, green, or yellow. Those are the colors you have to work with. You're able to vary the thickness for using that for lines or free form or text, whatever it is. Actually, I'm not sure if they have text yet. I think it's designed mainly for finger input. But you're able to do undo in multiple pages. You're able to just add in pages. So it's similar to what we talked about earlier. It's similar to that Notify application, but I think it's a little bit more bare bones, and it's more expensive. So I'm not sure if this is an application that is worth a look as of yet. It's a great application for creating PDFs from scratch on your iPad, and the thing I just came across is it's just really kind of bare bones right now. So it's a great application, but I'm looking for the future releases and seeing where it goes. What will we have with these future releases of PaperPad? I think it's a nice application. I think it's more of a $2 application as far as its capabilities compared to apps like SmartNote, like Notify at $1, in even Readdle Docs at $5. So I think it's a price a little high for what you get, but it's a great app, and I think it'll mature and develop over time. So that's PaperPad, the final app of the day. So with all of that said, let's go back and kind of recap. What's my recommendation here for PDF editing and the applications to grab here? What do you need in your toolkit for PDF editing? So the first recommendation I have is iAnnotate. I was very surprised to actually recommend this. I was surprised to recommend this because back in April, when I was using this, when it first came out at version 1, it was a terrible application to use. It was an application that I did not want to use. It was an application that was kind of kludgy. It didn't even export the annotations. But now at this current version, I highly recommend it. The only misgivings of this application are its Windows tablet kind of interface that I don't think it doesn't feel like a true iPad app. That's just my take on it. Other people may think differently, but I did not feel it as a compelling iPad interface. But that said, I'm recommending this for pure power, just great features, right? It's got the ability to save and work all in Dropbox on a single file. It's got the most powerful ways to interface with the PDFs as far as annotating and adding your annotations. So iAnnotate is my top recommendation for just pure power, pure annotations. But with that said, SmartNote is also going to be is highly recommended by me for more than just PDF. It's going to be the go-to app for students, I've found, for taking notes in class. I think Evernote is going to be up there too if you just want plain text, and that's what I used in class. But SmartNote might be something students might want to look at. The third recommendation here is Notify. For that $1, if you want to just create awesome PDFs from scratch, this is the app to get. So this is the app to get for creating awesome PDFs from scratch. And lastly, Docs for generic access to files and editing them. So you're able to edit PDFs, you're able to edit plain text, you're able to edit all those different things and access them through mail, through built-in mail. On the application itself, you're able to access all those different file servers, and it's just a great generic app to have for accessing files. So those are my recommendations. The 4 applications that do 4 very different things, and it was kind of surprising to see there wasn't a pure competition to Annotate in this field quite yet. So they've got quite a leap here, quite a lead, and I think other applications may come out from nowhere. So those are the applications that currently do PDF editing. And with that said, if you want to leave feedback, I'd greatly appreciate that. So as I'm reviewing these apps, I'm sure I missed some. I'm sure I left some out that do some awesome PDF editing. I did the best I could searching the App Store for finding those apps that actually do this kind of stuff, because right now it's very limited, as I said. So let me know, are there any other applications? Also, let me know, are there any tips that you have? What have you used your iPad for? What have you done with your iPad? What is it that you are using your iPad for, right? What new applications have you discovered? What are your tips and tricks for using your iPad on a daily basis? What are your favorite accessories? What is it? So I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear some feedback. I'm craving some more listener feedback here. I'd love to do more shows just like this one on pure listener feedback. I'd love to play your voicemails and do an entire show on just playing back voicemails and reacting to them. I'd love to do that, but I'm not getting enough feedback. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Send in your voicemail. Send it in to 209-542-iPad or iPadpossibilities@gmail.com. So send in your voicemail to 209-542-iPad. I'd love to do an entire show on listener feedback. I'd love to do multiple shows. So send that in and leave your feedback there. I'd greatly appreciate it. Well, with all of that said, let's get on to how to actually support this podcast you've been listening to for free of charge for most people. For those that are premium users, I greatly thank you. And those application people, I thank you as well. But for the majority of people, it's completely free for you. And to support the show, just go to gadgetfreeway.com. And they are the sponsor of this podcast, and they are enabling me to do some great things and providing you some great content. And so go out there and support them. They have some very innovative products made by Gadget Freeway themselves. They're not all. They have some products from other companies that they bring together, but I found they've made some pretty cool products. They have the iPad pillow, which is it's a pretty amazing pillow. So you can actually use your iPad in bed in a very comfortable way, in a way that makes you want to watch video more and more, want to read more and more in your bed with your iPad. You won't have, your arms won't get heavy anymore because of this pillow. It's an amazing pillow that I use every night now that I've got it, thanks to Gadget Freeway. They've also have this very compelling iPad case bag, as I like to call it, that turns your iPad into both. It's got a case, basically, that you can also access it without removing it from it. So it's a really compelling bag that is also a case. So check it out. It's a fantastic bag. It's the bag that Steve Bossador now uses over at iPadshow.com, and I'm using it as I go out and about every day because I want access to my iPad. I want it to just be on my side, and it looks it's very compelling for a bag and a case. It cuts down the cost. You only need to buy one now. So check that all out at gadgetfreeway.com, as well as the anti-glare protector that I am now using. And it's a pretty remarkable anti-glare protector. It's getting rid of all that glare that I used to have, and I'm actually able to use the iPad outside now, which is a first. So check it all out at gadgetfreeway.com, and I would like to thank them once again for sponsoring this podcast and enabling me to do some great content for everyone out there. Well, that is the show for today. And it was kind of a longer show for my Friday, Saturday show. Most of the time, those are 10, 15-minute shows at the most. But there's just a lot of stuff to talk about now. A lot of things to talk about in the iPad world. And we'll be having probably more shows come out to do 3 audio shows a week and now 2 video shows for certain subscribers. And I'm going to be doing 1 video screencast every month to kind of give everyone else a taste of what screencasting is all about. And with that said, we'll have more to talk about on Sunday night. So if you want to join us and become part of the iPad Possibilities community, join us Sunday night. This Sunday night at 10 p.m. instead of the normal 9:30 p.m. We're doing it at 10 p.m. this night because John's got a commitment earlier on in the day. So 10 p.m. we'll be discussing all the latest iPad news, and a lot of great things are coming out this week that talk about. And we'll have, I think, a focus topic or two to kind of concentrate on. But I'd love to have as many people with us. And just join us at tppn.tv for the live show. Or alternatively, you can just go to iPadPossibilities.com and just click on the live show at the bottom there to check out the live show. Please join us this Sunday night at 10 p.m. And with that said, you've been listening to the iPad Possibilities Podcast on tppn.tv. This is Tim, and I'll talk to everyone again Sunday night.